Now, the War Powers Act is about having a clear goal, right? It may be incredibly unconstitutional. I'm glad. I think Sophie's around here. Is Sophie still? Oh, God. Good. Sophie's here. Okay. It's very unconstitutional. I think it would go up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court would say, "Get out of here." President who is in charge of that. We're not changing the roles of the branches of the government. But what if you can't really make a deal? Because every time someone tries to make a deal, one of the crazy 32 fires a rocket, right? And you're talking about the 32 commanders that we talked about earlier. Now, I know I'm in the weeds, and you may need to explain to the audience what I'm talking about. But what if they really are trying to make a deal, but someone that's more of a hardliner tells one of the crazy 32 every time someone says, "Hey, we're making a deal," fire off a rocket, go hit something. What if that makes it so that, look, we can't just make a deal, we can't close this within a time frame because we don't have anyone we can deal with, and we can't just leave it like this.
Sketch says you're explaining this in a way that people don't understand what you're talking about. Like one of the 32. Let's provide some context for what you're talking about
I
before.
don't. You do.
Okay. Okay. What is this man talking about? All right. So I think what you're getting at, and let me know if I'm correct. Okay. So United States can make the argument legally that we can't end this war because the enemy that we're dealing with, they have the IRGC has 32 semi-independent segments. We have 32 IRGC provincial military commanders. I know we have 31 provinces, but for some reason we have 32 provincial military commanders within the IRGC. And the IRGC years ago created a structure that would make each one of these commanders to be able to operate semi-independently without much of a permission from the higher ups. This was Muhammad Ali Jafari's Mosaic design of the IRGC. And now it has made each one of these semi-independent, has caused a situation where that nobody can stop them because each one of these units is kind of like their own boss. So even if you wanted to come up with a deal with the IRGC to stop to do ceasefire or stop the military operations, to come up with a deal with them, there will be always some commanders within the IRGC who will say, "I didn't agree to that. I'm going to keep shooting at ships, and I'm going to keep shooting at the UAE or whatever, or I'm going to keep shooting at Oman." So that is a. Are you saying that's a good legal defense for President Trump to say, "What the hell are we supposed to do here? Even if we want to stop fighting, there is no way to stop fighting these people because there's no one to make a deal with." Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying that it's necessarily an excuse. I'm saying it's just like a reality. I'm just saying
Right.
this is what's happening. We cannot make a deal with these people because they've given too much power to these 32 provincial commanders. And if any of them don't like the deal, we can't do anything. Just it seems like tactically impossible to deal with that many heads on the snake without going and cauterizing the snake. Because even those 32, if they die, they probably have an underling that would take power.
One thing that supports this claim is the recent statement by the IRGC. I think it was the Khatam al-Anbiya that came at it and said that we didn't actually attack the UAE and we didn't attack the Korean ship, commercial ship. They came up with that statement. I don't know if you guys saw that, which is the IRGC usually is not shy when it comes to people like, oh, they're lying. This is Takia. They're lying. This is not something that they usually lie about. Okay. If IRGC Central Command wants to attack the UAE, they will brag about it. They wouldn't deny it. They would brag about it, right? So the fact that they are now denying that, to me suggests I don't. There's nobody else around that area that would want to attack the UAE. Who else is there? We have the Islamic Republic. Is there another country out there that has a state there that is interested in attacking the UAE? I don't know, or attacking a Korean ship, a commercial Korean ship. I can, or else I don't know. Maybe I have missed out an entire country in the Middle East, but it's obviously somebody from within IRGC. There is no other option. So if they're denying it, but still we know somebody attacked the UAE and somebody attacked a commercial ship, that South Korean commercial ship, it does suggest that it wasn't it wasn't with the blessing of the central command. It might support that idea that this was like some commanders that were like, what the hell? Why are we not attacking? We should be attacking. So I'm just going to take it upon myself to attack. So that suggests that this theory might be correct. What do you
So, in
think?
furtherance of that, I was going to ask Sophie: is this one of the reasons why the separation of the branches of government puts the power of the military in the administrative branch, because they have to administer a war? They can't be politicking about it. That's what I wanted to ask Sophie, because I don't understand this constitutional law stuff very well, but I understand that she is well versed in this stuff. And I was telling her, I'm kidding. You don't have to respond, Sophie. But I was like wanting to know her thoughts on it. If possible, if she's near a microphone, she might just be listening in.
Yeah, no
If
pressure.
not,
We like
anybody else can comment on it.
Sophie's probably thinking, I usually get paid a lot of money for this. So who are these people just coming around and just asking me questions?
I can pay in praise, lots of praise and admiration.
Okay, let's not put pressure on her. Okay, here's what I want to say though. Watching Congress ask Pete Hegseth questions makes me very happy that it's not up to them, because they were absolutely retarded. They have no fucking idea about anything. I'm like, holy shit, these people are so clueless. Oh my God, imagine if it was up to them. They don't even have the most basic understanding. It was so obvious that their questions were like, they asked an intern to come up with questions that makes them look good among a progressive or isolationist voter, and it had nothing to do with actually understanding what's happening in the war. It had nothing to do with that. So I'm so glad it's not up to them. Okay, I see a bunch of twos. I have four. By the way, guys, before we go to the next person, I have a lot of 4 minutes. But I know you guys know, but I'm saying this for for the sake of the people who are watching us on YouTube, that once I leave, you guys could continue and have the conversation here without me for hours and hours. And we did also get another super chat saying, Casey saying, why doesn't the international community talk about the use of cluster warheads as a war crime? I'm sure somebody did somewhere, but why don't they talk about it as much as they should be? Is because they're not Jews, because it's not Israel. That's the reason. That's the reason. It's because it's not. There's no Jews, no news. It's the same old principle. Same old principle. But be careful, because sometimes when you say they didn't talk about it, they will find this there's this article somewhere that shows one person said something, where as a way for you to show, as a way for them not to do a gotcha on you, it's better to say, why didn't they talk about it nearly as much, just so that they can't get you with this one line that some guy in the UN said somewhere, as it's just as a useless symbolic thing that doesn't end up into it. So it's better to say, why don't they take it seriously as much, or why is it not as big of an issue, or why don't they talk about it as much, which is, yeah. But yeah, that's a very good thing to point to.